Hello there, and welcome to Weird Music on the Glumberger channel. This is of course that peculiar show with that unusual presenter looking at albums of all sorts of shapes and sizes, right? Today I have an odd little album indeed, but it's one that kind of revels in its oddities to the point of just being an absolute delightful listening experience. This album, I actually came across this album through the YouTube homepage, where it's that one time out of 10 where the algorithm got something right that piqued my curiosity. Saw the artwork, clicked the video, heard the album, was genuinely delighted by the strange music lurking amongst it. So let's talk about it, why not? Today I present Slumbering Sounds at the Frog Fellowship by Frog Concert. So, let's ask ourselves, who are Frog Concerts? Well, Frog Concert is a project comprising one Max Grody, joined by the Frog Fellowship, of course. And together, they push out this lovely collection of Dungeon Synth musings that gently just float along their merry little way. And released on the wonderful Fiadh Productions based in New York, this is without a doubt one of the charmingly silly little albums out there. It's a very short little 20-minute excursion comprised of 11 tracks that just perfectly encapsulates this very quaint Baroque medieval landscape inhabited by anthropomorphized frogs, or at least I would presume. It's delightfully silly, to be fair, and there's this wonderful element of delight that just permeates throughout the entirety of this album, making it this lovely 20-minute listening experience. It's like some kind of Dungeons and Dragons quest, I think, set in a village of frogs whose churches just ring out with this delightful and quaint style of music. And, well, no, it's just a lovely little location to have visited, basically. What's not to love? So, what is Slumbering Sounds of the Frog Fellowship then? Well, it is the second album by Frog Concert, following on from their debut album of Quiet Snore of the Dream People. And another little album of cute, quaint Dungeon Synth. And Slumbering Sounds, follows, it continues the same little journey into the genre, with Grody really enveloping the entire concept into this wonderful little story, And when you listen to the album, this album, the presentation, the names and everything you get from looking at the release, it's all expressed through the music itself, which perfectly captures the weird aesthetic of musical frogs. I suppose so, anyway. But what's phenomenal, though, is actually this really in-depth characterization of everything, with Grody really developing the story and the history of the lore of the Frog Concert, And the further you dive into it, the stranger it all becomes. But alongside it, there's just this lovely little fantasy being explored through the world of strange electronic music, no doubt. And so, to go into the album quickly, Slumbering Sounds is made up of 11 different tracks, all ranging in lengths from, between 26 seconds to 3 minutes, and anything in between, of course. And as you listen to this, you're getting this lovely arrangement of, strange synthesizers and the occasional sound of a frog vocalizing in some way, or having their vocalizations edited in some way, perhaps, To be honest, maybe these sounds are all just the sounds of the synthesizer, but with the album I feel like the album probably features some very subtle field recordings here and there, right? Perhaps it is just the natural sound of frogs, I don't know for sure, to be honest, because I'm actually quite an idiot when it comes to stuff like this. And when it comes to explanations of the album, Grody only presents things from the perspective of the characters themselves. So you don't get any literal information as to the who's and whats of this particular album. You kind of just have to make inferences for yourself, and let the journey take you where the journey wants to take you. But also, to be perfectly honest as well, so much of this album is genuinely shrouded in this purposeful mystery to, in order to give it a sense of intrigue, I feel, and it's genuinely just such a delightful and quaint little release that really feels like you've wandered deep into the swamp, only to stumble upon an entire community of frogs just living their anthropomorphized lives, going to church, passing each other in the streets, and playing at the park. Generally just having a lovely, lovely time being frogs, right? And so, just to quickly go into some bits, I figured this would be a good video to mention this, but there's genuinely a bunch of different albums that I find very difficult to dissect song by song. One other such album is the wonderful album Plantasia, which is a fantastic album all about plants and for plants that I've been meaning to cover for quite some time on the channel, but I struggled to write the words about essentially. However, that being said, I did finally manage to finish the video, the words for it, so yeah, that's going to be on its way soon. In the end though, for that album, and for this particular album as well, the review sometimes becomes about the whole, and less about the individual songs, and I think that's okay, to be fair, right? Like, Slumbering Sounds of the Frog Fellowship, to me, I feel like listening to the whole album does feel like listening to one extended 20-minute long composition, that wanders from scene to scene with these momentary gaps in between. But all in all, it's contributing to this overall narrative that the album is presenting, if that makes sense. And with an album like this one in particular, there is something so delightful and just lovely about it as a result, It goes from these, quaint Baroque little moments to sort of medieval style to sort of almost sinister, ominous moments as well, like where things are spooky and weird. But all in all, it's like just gazing upon the different parts of this society, like here's the blacksmith, here's the church, here's the park, here's the greengrocer, like all these little parts that make up the whole essentially. And it's so quaint and charming, but it's such a lovely little experience that's perfect for letting your imagination just wander far and wide as you just explore the frog society, right? So, before we finish up on this one, this is going to be a very short video, to be fair. There's some other points I would like to mention, though. So on the Bandcamp page released for Slumbering Sounds of the Frog Fellowship, released on the wonderful and rather strange record label Fiadh Productions, who released this album on cassette in 2 different runs, and they've already sold out, sadly, which is a shame, but it is what it is. But maybe they'll do more in the future, actually, we'll see. But regardless, on the Bandcamp, there is a lovely portion of text explaining that all the digital revenue for this particular album is being donated to the Raptor Education Group Incorporated. And so the Raptor Education Group Incorporated, or REGI for short, is a non-profit organisation dedicated to the care and rehabilitation of injured or orphaned native bird species and public education of wildlife issues. And I think, once again, there's something delightful and wonderful about making this very weird little unusual album that is reveling in the delight of this society of frogs, where the proceeds of it all are going to this, this wonderful cause, essentially. And the last update on the Bandcamp page, at this current point that this video is being made, or me speaking this bit, whatever, tells us that the current donation is a little over $900, which is, it's lovely considering that this particular album is pay what you want release on Bandcamp, That's also actually had over 280,000 views on YouTube, in terms of the whole album. So I would say, if you've been enjoying this lovely, charming little sounds that this album offers, go and give it your support on Bandcamp, there's so many people who've been enjoying it, but, you can donate as much or as little as you want, essentially, so it all goes towards a good cause, and there's something wonderful about that, Yeah, well, it's a shame that the cassette versions have run out, though. It's unsurprising, to be fair, considering how popular this little album is getting, bit by bit. As well, the Frog Concert T-shirt is also sold out, which I would have loved to have had in my collection, but maybe we'll see more of them in the future from Fiadh Productions. Who knows? Who knows? And so, I think with that, we've come to the end of our, very short little episode of Weird Music there. It's been a short dive into a short album, but I think that's fine and all. Sometimes there's not as much to write about something, but I still want to talk about this little strange album. I still want to present it on the show, and, I'm glad as well, not only to have talked about Slumbering Sounds of the Frog Fellowship, which is just a delightful little album, but also to have started talking about Fiadh Productions, which is a wonderful female-run and anti-fascist record label who promotes all that is wild, dark, enchanting, supporting animal rescue, rights and welfare. And so discovering the Frog Concert led me to this wonderful label who offers some incredibly varied albums, ranging from Dungeon Synth to black metal to experimental folk even. And I find their cause so incredibly admirable, and I recommend you give them your support, as there's no doubt something that, anyone could enjoy here. And like I said, I'm glad to have talked about Frog Concert here. It's just such a delightful, charming album that puts a smile on my face with its quaint and lovely sounds, And so, yeah, I would like to thank you for watching today's episode of Weird Music. I wish you all the best, take care, and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.